Hello, welcome back. So I'm going to talk today about my Pan in Every eyeshadow palette update. So this is a new challenge that I've set myself on my channel this year. So I'm trying to hit pan in as many different shades in all of my eyeshadow palettes as I possibly can. So I've chosen one eyeshadow shade from each of my eyeshadow palettes, and this video is a way for me to kind of like update you guys on the progress, show you some before and after pictures, and just kind of document my progress with this. So in last month's update video, I had made a really great start. I had hit pan in 4 shades, and I'm really happy to say that I've hit pan in another 4 shades this month as well. So far this year, that is 8 pans that I've managed to hit pan on. So I'm going to talk about what those 4 pans are, talk about the new shades that I've rolled in, and just my update on all of the other shades as well. So I've got my notepad where I keep track of like all of my Shop My Stash, Project Pan, etc, etc. Just to make it a little bit clearer for me, because this can get a little bit kind of like muddled, I'm just going to work in order on my list. So I'm going to start off with one of the shades from the Viva Essentials palette that I'm working on. So the shade that I've been working on, hitting pan on in here, is this one here called Buff. So this is a warm mid brown shade. It's my crease shade. I always wear this as a crease shade regardless of the look that I'm going for, so I do have it on today as well. I used this one 18 times last month. I don't think there's really kind of like any progress on this. It doesn't look like it's getting any bigger. I do have a little dip in it, and that's where I'm focusing my brush whenever I do apply this. But these pans are so big, it's going to take me ages to see progress on this shade, especially because I'm using a loose fluffy brush as well. So if I was using a dense flat packer brush, I'd probably see more progress. But yeah, because I'm just using a fluffy brush, I'm picking up a really like loose light layer. So I don't think I'm going to hit pan on this shade for months, despite the fact that it is my everyday crease shade. It's a lovely shade though. It's a lovely, my kind of crease shade, very warm and mid-brown. It works really good on my complexion, and the quality of the Viva eyeshadows are excellent as well. So I am enjoying it, but I am aware it's going to take me blooming ages to hit pan on it. The next shade on my list comes from the other Viva palette I have, which is the Muse palette. And I was working last time on hitting pan in Regal, but Regal is too dark for me. It's not really the type of shade that I go for, so I did change it. And I did say instead that I was going to go for Love, which is this warm, really sort of like muted pink here. I do find the colours in this palette though not the best for my complexion. They are, I think all of them are warm, so it is good that they're warm and not cool, but pinks and purples don't really suit me. I'm better suited to like browns and like greens. So although these are warm and although these are the good types of shades to wear for my eye colour, for my complexion, my colouring, pinks and purples aren't the best. Oh, I just sneezed. Sorry if my face is like gone red. So yeah, I have kind of struggled with this palette. Don't get me wrong, the quality is brilliant. Viva do some excellent powders, excellent eyeshadow, so the quality is fantastic with these eyeshadow palettes, and the shades themselves are beautiful, but they're just not the right kind of shades for me. So I have only worn Love 7 times. I've not worn it that often at all. I did try it as a blusher. Does not work as a blusher. For some reason it goes really patchy as a blusher, much better suited for just an eyeshadow. So not really too sure how I'm going to kind of progress forwards with this palette. I might start dipping into kind of like other shades, maybe do a different shade one month, a different shade the other month, and sort of see if there are some better shades in here for me. But for now I'm gonna stick with Love, but I only did use it 7 times. So I did a similar sort of thing with the ABH Modern palette, because I was working on Rose Gold, which is a very warm shade. So with this palette, Modern Renaissance and Viva Muse, I did actually go on Temptalia's website, which I'm sure you've heard of, but if you haven't, go and check her website out because it is brilliant. It's such an encyclopedia of every kind of makeup product to have ever existed. So I did go on her website and I wrote down all of the shades in this Modern Renaissance and Viva Muse, and whether they were warm or cool, and whether they were like slightly warm, moderately warm, very warm. and I'm pretty sure rose gold was very warm. However, I didn't like it on me. It was too dark and I just didn't like the colour of the shade anyway. So I rolled it out at the end of the last update and I decided instead to work on Summer. I've used Summer only 4 times this month, but this is a beautiful shade. Despite the fact me only wearing it 4 times, I think it's probably like my new favourite eyeshadow shade. It's gorgeous. It's this really beautiful warm gold, but it's not a very pale gold, like a very pale yellow. It's got a good amount of like, I suppose, orange behind it, but it doesn't come across orange. It's a very rich, warm gold. It's so beautiful, and this works really lovely with some of the other shades in my challenge. And how I've been wearing this is just sort of like dipping my finger in it. I don't use my brush with the shimmers in this palette, so I am kind of starting pretty much from scratch with Summer, so I'm not really too sure when I'm going to hit pan on it. Probably not for a sort of like good 2 or 3 months. However, these shades are quite easy to hit pan on, so I might surprise myself and I might hit pan on it sooner rather than later, but a gorgeous shade, so much better on me than rose gold was. Next shade comes from ABH Modern Renaissance, and this is one of the 4 shades that I've hit pan on. So I was working on Primavera, which is this yellow gold shimmery shade here. I mostly use it as like an inner corner highlight and a under the brow bone shade. Very beautiful, very sort of like my kind of shade, that warm shimmery yellow gold shade. Really did enjoy using it, and then because I use it with a very small brush because of using it in my inner corner, I was able to hit pan on this one quite quickly. It took me 2 uses this month to hit pan on it, and because this was a new shade this month, it only took me 2 uses in total to hit pan on it. So that really does go to show that if I wear more of my eyeshadows, I would have many more pans than I did at the start of this challenge. So yeah, hit pan on that one on the 9th. It took me 2 uses. So sticking with this palette, I needed another shade in this palette to replace Primavera. So I went for the one above it. I went for Vermeer, which is also very warm toned, but it has more of like pinkiness behind it. It's still a shimmer like Primavera is, but where Primavera is more of like a yellow gold, this one is more of that warm light pink shade. Very beautiful. This was lovely all over the lid, but again, I did mostly use it as an inner corner highlight and under the brow bone. And I'm very pleased to say that I've hit pan on this shade as well. I hit pan on it on the 28th, on the last day of February, and it took me 8 uses to hit pan on it. So in total now in this palette I have 3 pans. I have Tempera, which is that matte ivory, and then Primavera and Vermeer. So again, I need another shade in this palette to work on, to hit pan on, and I suppose the next shade that I have the best progress on would be Raw Sienna, but that's very similar to Buff from Viva Essentials. So the shade that I've chosen to work on, because it was kind of calling to me, is Golden Ochre. And like with Summer from Norvina, I'm kind of starting from scratch with Golden Ochre, so not sure how soon I'm going to hit pan on it, but this is a really good lid shade, so I can wear this all over the lid, so I can actually use quite a bit of it when I use it. So this will be the next shade that hopefully I can hit pan in very soon. Okay, moving on to my 2 face and eye palettes next. The first one, Laura Geller Sunday Funday. The shade that I'm working on is this top one here, Tantalising Taupe. This is a shimmery khaki brown shade. Very, very beautiful. I only did use it 3 times last month, and where I've had low numbers for some of these eyeshadows, that is because I was really focusing on hitting pan in some of the other shades, so those Modern Renaissance shades, and trying to figure out which shade was best to work on from the Viva Muse palette. So yeah, did only wear this one 3 times, and I really don't think that there's any difference in how this one looked this month compared to the last update, so hoping to use this one a bit more frequently next month. Along with the shade from the TGI Thursday one, I didn't wear this one at all. This is Toasted Taupe, this one here, a shimmery taupe shade. Very, very pretty, but not really the types of shades that I kind of reach for on a day-to-day basis. And I did say that this is one that I'm probably going to hit pan on like last. And if I'm not wearing it at all, then it will be. So definitely need to up my usage of this eyeshadow here, and then I will work on the Olive View because the rest of the shades in here I don't particularly like. So regardless of my progress in this palette this year, I will be decluttering it at the end of the year because I don't really reach for it. Okay, so on to the third shade that I've hit pan on this month. This comes from my Urban Decay Naked Heat. So that means that I now have 2 pans in this eyeshadow palette, which is great. I hit pan in the shade Ounce, which is this shimmery ivory shade here. It took me 2 uses this month to hit pan on it, so in total it's taken 13 uses to hit pan, and I hit pan on the 9th. And this one was great as again an inner corner highlight shade under the brow bone, but also all over the lid if I was going for a really minimal eyeshadow look. So that is my second pan in this palette, and I have decided to replace it with, I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, Lumbre. It's probably Lumbre, isn't it? This sort of like shimmery, very warm orange gold copper shade. A beautiful shade, but I haven't worn it since rolling this one in, so this is another one that I need to focus on using. However, as beautiful as this palette is, the shimmers aren't great. The mattes are better than the shimmers, so I think I need to get out my glitter primer from NYX and use that as a base for the shimmers in this palette. And then my fourth eyeshadow that I've hit pan on, surprisingly, comes from the Viva Essentials palette. I didn't think I would hit pan on this shade this quickly. It is So Shy up the top here, this matte ivory shade. Now I think the reason why I have hit pan on it is because I use it all over the lid. I use it every time I wear makeup, and I use that flat pack brush. So where I said with Buff I just use a fluffy brush, and that's why I don't think I've sort of seen any progress, I used a flat packer brush with this one, so I was really able to get a good dent going on in the pan. And I think I did say as well in my last update that I'm not sure whether these pans are just really wide but not very deep, but they are actually quite deep. So these are very, very generously sized pans that are going to take a long time to use up. So very pleased that I have managed to hit pan in this one. I hit pan on the 1st of March. It took me 12 uses this time to use up, so in total it took me 24 uses to hit pan on this shade. So yes, happy with that one, but that now means that I need another similar shade to work on. So I have decided to include one from the ABH Norvina palette, which is this one here called Base. Very, very similar to So Shy, just slightly more yellow, I would say, with this one. I rolled this in on the 2nd of March and I've only used it twice so far, but I am going to get a really good number of uses with this because, like I say, I use this type of shade every time I wear eyeshadow. So, and again, I am kind of starting from scratch with this one. My Norvina palette, as pretty as it is, it does sort of seem to be fairly untouched, so I think this palette will take me a little bit of some time to kind of hit pan on the shades, but with a shade like Base, I'm hoping it won't take too long. And then the last shade comes from my NARS eyeshadow duo. At the last update I hit pan on the left hand side shade, so now I'm working on hitting pan on the right hand side shade. This is slightly darker, this is more of like a bronze brown type of shade. Again, very beautiful. This duo is just stunning. I love it. However, I did only wear it twice, so now that I have a lot more browns, oranges, coppers, golds going on in this challenge, they can all pair really nicely together. So hopefully my numbers for some of the ones this time that have been quite low are going to be a lot higher next month. So this does seem to be pretty flat though, so I don't think I'm going to hit pan on this one for 2 to 3 months perhaps, but I just love using this eyeshadow duo. I think it is absolutely beautiful. The quality, amazing. So hit pan in 4 shades again. I'm really, really pleased with my progress so far in this challenge. However, saying that, I don't think there's going to be any pans in the next update. If there are, I don't think there's going to be as many as 4 because I'm now starting to work on shades that don't have a lot of progress in them to start with. So I think my progress is going to start to slow down now. But starting off the year with 8 new pans, I think that's really good progress. I am very, very pleased with that. And it is nice as well to see pans in my eyeshadow palettes. It's nice to open up Modern Renaissance and see that I've hit pan on 3 shades. It's good to use your products as well. Don't just kind of let them sit there and don't touch them. So that's really encouraging my progress so far. So yeah, happy to kind of see it continue. So if you liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed and you're thinking about doing so, it would be lovely to have you here. And I will see you again very soon for my next video. Bye guys.